Now our cat spawns bombs, but he can't launch them, and we need to make them launchable. To do that, we're going to start with our CatBomb object. Right now, it's just a visual prefab that shows that model that spins. Remember, it's got an animator on it, and it can spin around in circles. I can hit play and watch it spin, and then it does a line renderer as well. It looks nice and pretty, but it doesn't actually hit things. So let's start by modifying our CatBomb prefab and adding a couple components to it. First, I've got my CatBomb selected. I'm not in prefab edit mode, and I'm not using one in the hierarchy. I'm down here in the scene view, so my changes for the prefab edit will apply. So let's hit add, and I'm going to choose a rigid body 2D component. This is going to make it so that my CatBomb can fall down. Now, I also want to add a collider to it, but if I just add a collider right now, I'm not going to be able to see it. So I'll double click, go into prefab edit mode. See, my rigid body is already here. And then I'm going to hit add component, and we'll add a circle collider. So let's type CIR, and a circle collider appears. I'm going to expand this out and shrink down the radius just by grabbing it and dragging. It looks like what was that, about a 0.2 that fits pretty perfectly. So now I've got a CatBomb that should just spawn and drop down to the ground. If I go back out of prefab edit mode, save and press play, my cat now should spawn bombs, but those bombs shouldn't just stay on the tail. They should kind of act a little bit weird. Let's watch. You can see it kind of drop down, but it still wiggles around because they're still attached to the parent object here. They're still attached to the tail, but they are doing physics. So they'll fall and do their own rolling and stuff, but they still snap back around when this object moves, which gives it some very strange behavior. So I want my CatBomb to be a little bit more intelligent. So we're going to add a CatBomb script now that can deal with launching it and also impacting players and whatever other stuff we want to impact. Let's go into the scripts folder. We'll right click, choose create, C# script, and let's call this CatBomb. Now that I've got my CatBomb script, I'll go apply it to my prefab. Well, once it allows me to, I'll select my prefabs folder, go find my CatBomb, and hit add component. Let's go add component CatBomb. So my CatBomb script, this is going to first, I think, just have a method to kind of launch itself so it can detach from the tail right here. So let's open up the CatBomb script. And then we'll delete the start and update methods. We don't need those in there right now. And then add a public void launch. We don't need any parameters yet, though we might add some. And the first thing we want to do is just set our transform parent to be nothing. So say transform.setParent, and we're going to set it to null. So we want to be able to launch a CatBomb, and eventually we're going to want to kind of shoot it off in the correct direction or maybe add a target. But for now, we'll just set the parent to null so it stops doing that weird thing. Now, I'm not spawning CatBombs, so let's go into our cat and let's take a look at the cat script. Right now, we're spawning game objects. We need to change this to spawn CatBombs so that we can call that launch method. We could, of course, just inside of our instantiate or somewhere in here, maybe do a get component and try to get the CatBomb prefab, but I think it's generally, or the CatBomb component, I should say, not prefab, but it's generally better to reference the type that we want and reference the component that we want here. So I'm going to change the CatBomb prefab to be of type CatBomb. Now we'll instantiate the correct object. So right now we spawn a CatBomb every 3 seconds, and let's say that we want to launch it. Let's say var CatBomb equals our instantiate method, so we'll get a reference to it, and then we'll say CatBomb dot launch. So this should spawn our CatBomb right away and then drop it to the ground, or not right away, but every 3 seconds. And as soon as it spawns it, it will drop it right to the ground. Let's go try that out. First, though, we're of course going to need to reassign our CatBomb. Oh, we don't actually need to reassign it. I'm surprised it caught that prefab change. So normally those get dropped. If you don't see your CatBomb prefab there, make sure that you go assign it. It's probably because I've added all of the components without tabbing back in at all, and it just kind of lined up and worked. But a lot of the time that reference will get dropped because we've changed the type. Okay, so I've got my CatBomb spawner there. You can see the bombs are spawning and they're no longer attached. If I look here, I can see that this is the fire point and the bombs are down here. So the bombs are spawning. They're not launching in the correct direction though. So let's now make them launch forward and to the left. To do that, we're going to go back into our, let's open up our cat script. Let's see if I can get that open. Oh, there we go. And then inside of our cat script, when we call launch, let's tell it just which direction to launch our cat bomb in. I want to go off to the left and up. So I'm going to pass in vector2.up plus vector2.left. Now I'm just hard coding this guy to shoot to the left for now, but we can of course use our direction later. Let's add in the parameter to our launch code. So I'm going to hit F12 and we're going to add a new parameter to the launch method, which is a vector2, and we'll call this direction. Now we need to add some force to our rigid body in that direction. Since we're going to be using this cat bomb multiple times and we're eventually going to pool it and reuse it, let's cache our rigid body, and we'll do that in an awake method. We'll add an awake and say underscore RB equals get component, and we don't want a rigid body, we want the rigid body 2D. Make sure you get that one. We'll add a field for the rigid body with Alt-Enter. Get rid of these extra private keywords here. And then in the launch method, let's say underscore RB dot add force, which will add force in a specific direction. And we'll give it the direction and we'll multiply that times some force amount. We're going to give that we're going to turn that into another field. So I'll hit Alt-Enter, generate a field for it. We'll make this a float so that we can easily adjust it and give it a default of about 300. We'll change the private to a serialize field. And now we've got an adjustable amount of force that we can apply on our cat bomb and launch it in the whatever direction we want. Let's go back into Unity. Let's make sure that we've saved our cat file. So we need to be passing in that launch parameter. Do a build, make sure the build succeeds, which it looks like it did. And then we'll go back into Unity, make sure that we don't have any errors. Press play, and let's see if our cat bomb now launches off and to the left. So we've got a cat bomb spawner guy here. There we go. So he does spawn them. He does launch them off to the left. But as you can tell, it's completely unhooked from our animation. So let's stop playing. And then let's apply our overrides to the prefab for the cat. Save our scene. And I want to go into plastic and say that we've added CatBomb Script and launching. And next, we're going to tie that into our actual animation so that it fires at the correct time. Let's hit check in.